Hi viewers, welcome to another Taka Thursday. Today we have the pleasure of hosting a real friend of the environment, Dr. Ayub Macharia. Dr. Macharia is not only a professional in environmental matters, he's also very passionate about waste management, and we really have a great pleasure to listen to him today. Welcome, Dr. Macharia, and I'll welcome you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you. Hi viewers, welcome to this session where we are going to talk more about waste management in Kenya. A lot has happened on that space. My name is Ayub Macharia. I work with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry as a director in charge of environmental education and awareness, and also waste management matters. We deal with the matters plastics, general waste, extended producer responsibility, among others. And I'm delighted to be in this program to tell you more about what is happening in our country and how to make our country cleaner and healthier.
Thank you so much, Dr. Macharia. And you've just hinted to what we'll be listening to today. That is the extended producer responsibility. The new law, the Waste Management Act, is already in place.
Yes.
And we'll want to know what this means for Kenyans, what this means for the business community, and we'll be hearing all that today. But before we dive into that, Dr. Macharia, what interested you in environment? How did you get into this space?
Thank you. I got into the environment space accidentally, because when I was doing my studies, I wanted to be a medical doctor. So in university, I didn't manage to get the grades to do medicine, but I did education. I did botany and zoology, but I realized in zoology I could become a medical researcher. So I did all courses related to medicine, immunology, parasitology, entomology, all that. But after finishing my degree, I wanted to go into that area, so I applied for scholarships, but I didn't get a scholarship in the medical area. I got a scholarship in environment, and that is how I joined the environment sector. I did my master's in environmental science, and then for my PhD I decided to mix education that I did in my first degree with environment. So I did a PhD in environmental education, and that is what I have been doing all along. I have taught in Kenyatta University environmental education, and then also I have been heading the Directorate of Environmental Education at the National Environment Management Authority all my years, since 2007 up to the present day.
Well,
I'm still a director in charge of environmental education.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it. We have a real professional here, hands-on on environment and sustainable waste management. So, Dr. Macharia, unpack for us a little bit, what is sustainable waste management? What does it mean for our audience?
Now, I think we need to first of all understand where we have come from. Kenya got its environmental law in 1999, the Environmental Management and Coordination Act, and in it there was a component of waste management. However, you realize that what the law said, because in 2006 a regulation on waste management, regulations 2006 was enacted also, and that is the one that has been guiding us all along until last year, 2022, when we got a new law on waste management. Now, what has been happening is that in the past, you know that the dollar was small in 1999. Now the dollar is huge. The same case has happened in all the counties. Were we doing whatever was happening illegally? No. We had a law which said, put your waste in a bin and then take it to the dump site. That kind of a model is called a linear model of waste management, where you take resources from the ground, you make what you want to make, you make a product like some packaging material, then after you finish using the product, put it in a bin, in a truck, and then to the dump site. That is how Kenya has been. So we were not operating illegally. But you see, and when you go to Dadora or any dump site in Kenya, what do you see there? You see diapers, you see plastic, paper, glass. All these are resources. They are things that could be recycled into new items, new materials. And so last year, from actually 2017 to last year, we have been developing a law to harness the resources, to recover resources from our waste.
Yes.
And last year, the law got the president's signature, and now we have the Sustainable Waste Management Act. So what does the act say? It says that we need to make sure that we generate waste that is not contaminated from our homes, from our offices. We should separate our waste into organic and recycle the synthetics, the dry synthetics, to be in 2 bins. And that is how that waste should be treated from that point up to the end. So we should do further sorting, and then the variables are all recovered and taken to recyclers. And what is interesting about our waste, because it has been studied, is that our waste is 60% organic. And 30% are recyclables. That means we can recover.
Right.
If you add 60 and 30, that means 90% of our waste is useful.
Yes.
The rest, we can generate some energy.
And how will this be monitored?
And
who will monitor it?
We have put in place mechanisms to implement the law, of which monitoring will come. Because what the law says is that everybody should segregate waste at source. And then, once you put your waste into the 2 bins, the organic and the synthetics, then you should give that waste to licensed waste service providers. And they will take it to a material recovery facility, not to the dump site.
So before you proceed,
yes.
Does it mean that
yes.
the responsibility lies along that chain?
Yes.
Even with the collectors,
yes.
with the segregators, everybody?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the roles have been delineated totally. Actually, you know, the Constitution of Kenya devolved waste management to counties. And so counties are in charge of making sure that the system is running. And the work of the national government is to coordinate that, to make sure that the standards are in place and the counties are working. And so what we are expecting is that counties, number one, have the dump site, the existing dump sites, which will be converted into landfills, because they don't have a place now, because we are going to recover 90% of the waste. Only actually 5% should go to the landfill. And you see, that is a very minimal volume yes. of waste.
Yes.
The rest, when you recover, what do you make out of it? You recover it as fertilizer, organic fertilizer, which can be sold in the farms. You recover it as plastics, you sell it to recyclers. So what we are seeing in the middle, the 90% will help create jobs, will be a source of livelihood for many people. We were calculating the other day with a friend of mine. Nairobi generates 1,800 tons of organic waste. That's 60% I said. Nairobi generates 3,000 tons of waste every day.
That's a lot.
And 1,800 is organic. And we were calculating that 500 kilograms, half a ton of waste, can support 5 jobs. And so we are seeing that the waste that we have in Nairobi, the one that we are calling waste, can support 18,000 jobs.
That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yes, that is what we are
So
using.
effectively what you're saying
Yes.
is that out of this waste, we can have livelihoods supported.
Yes, yes.
And
That is what we are using in Dadora. When you see that dump site, those are over 20,000 jobs
Wow.
lost.
Let's step back a little bit.
Yes.
So you've talked about this law. Is this what the extended producer responsibility is about? Could you tell us a little
Thank
bit
you.
about that?
Thank you. Section 13 of the Sustainable Waste Management Act introduces the concept of extended producer responsibility. And that concept says that the producer is like a manufacturer, an importer of items in Kenya, should take responsibility of their product even at post-consumer level. Taking care means that you make sure that that product and packaging is collected, it is properly segregated, and then it goes to the recycler, or it is properly disposed. That is the responsibility of the person who brought that product. Why EPR is important is that it opens up our country, that one can do business with anything you want, so long as you demonstrate that you can be able to manage that product and packaging. So what the EPR brings forth is that in the past, Kenyans and our producers used to bring anything into the country. And then they expect the counties to have all the technologies to manage any product imported from anywhere. We don't have such technologies in Kenya. And that is why the responsibility is shifting from the county government or the national government to you who brought the product, because you know what is in your product.
Yeah.
And you know who are the recyclers.
Hence the responsibility.
Yes, so you are supposed to come with a package.
Yes.
As a package. Come with you, bring your product, but also behind the product is the recycler.
The recycler.
Yes.
Will there be fines?
Now, how it will be implemented is that number one, everybody must register their product with NEMA. After you register your product with NEMA, then you'll be given some identification.
And that applies to manufacturers or importers or everybody?
Those two. They are called producers.
Producers?
Yes. They are
That's
called
all of
producers.
us?
No. It is if you are a manufacturer or an importer.
Okay.
Or you have a product like you bring in sugar from Brazil, for example,
Right.
in a ship inside that container, and then you repackage. Then you become a producer.
Okay.
Because you are introducing packaging into the environment.
Right.
And so after you register with NEMA, then you are required to go and look for your peers. And the peers are identified in the law. We have 5 categories. You are either in any of the 5 categories. Category 1 is packaging. Packaging, we have 2 categories, depending on what comes into contact with the packaging.
Right.
So it could be hazardous or non-hazardous. So those are 2 categories. If your product packaging is for hazardous items, you look for other guys with those hazardous items, like paints, pharmaceuticals, acids, all those things, cosmetics. Those are all under the hazardous category. Then if it is sugar, tea, other non-hazardous, then you look for peers. Then you establish a company.
Right.
That company, you will do survey of how your products can be collected, who could be your recyclers, who will transport your materials.
Is that what you refer to as the PROs?
Yes, those are the PROs. That company is called the PRO.
Responsibility organization.
Yes.
Okay.
So they'll do calculations for these, for how to manage your waste.
Right.
And then it will be, you get a total figure. And then if it is 20 shillings, you divide amongst yourselves. That is what the EPR system, how the EPR system will operate. I said there are 5 categories. The 3rd category is electronic waste. The 4th category is end-of-use vehicles, including aeroplanes, borders, ships,
Right.
all those. We don't want them to be just thrown on on the road.
Right.
Okay. The last one is what we call non-packaging. Non-packaging has items such as shoes, leather, waste tires. See, tires, they can be all over. Diapers, they can be, actually when you visit the dump site, they are all over. So those are non-packaging items. And we have listed all of them there. There are about 32 items that are initially subject to EPR. But the law, our law, Section 13, subjects all producers to extended producer responsibility. So that list is in Schedule 1 of the regulations, can be expanded to cover others. But for now, we have identified our problematic waste as 32 items falling under 5 categories.
Right.
So once you register with the number your product, then look for your peers and come up with a plan on how to manage your resources, cost your plan, divide that cost amongst yourselves.
Yeah. And
Yes.
what incentives will be given?
Incentives are there. They are entrenched in the law. One of the incentives is if our law on waste management is grounded on the concept of waste reduction. If you reduce waste, you pay less. That is where the incentive is. It is hidden in reduction.
Right.
So if you bring into the country material that is recyclable, then, or easy to recycle, then you pay less. Okay? If you bring in a material that is hard to correct in the environment, that has hazardous items inside, additives, or some material that is unknown, that has all those has those challenges in terms of life cycle, then you will be charged more by the recycler. Right. He will charge you more. And the other cost that you may have to pay is if it is not recyclable, then it means maybe you have to incinerate. You know, incineration fee is very high.
High.
Yes.
It's very high.
So that cost becomes a deterrent.
Yes.
That is the kind of incentive that we have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm sure in our audience we have producers who fall in any of these categories. And you see, it's been laid out to us where the responsibility falls. Dr. Macharia, so besides the EPR regulations and all, what other opportunity is there in sustainable waste management in this country?
Well, the opportunity is, there is a lot of opportunity. There are a lot of opportunities now at this time. The generation that is there now has a lot of opportunities. Why? Because the law says that waste will no longer go to the dump site.
Right.
To go to a material recovery facility. We don't have those facilities right now. And as a way of starting the process, what we have advised counties to do is to establish material recovery number 1 at the dump site. So you reorganize the dump site.
Right.
So that the 2 bins from your house, bin 1 goes to one site for organic, bin 2 goes to this other site for synthetics, and then after sorting, the residual waste goes to the landfill. You know, the distance from wherever the waste is coming from to the dump site, some places is very far.
Right.
And our law also is grounded on the principle of proximity. Waste should be processed as near as possible to its point of generation. Right. What does that mean? It means that the members of the public have an opportunity to start small-scale waste management facilities, SMEs.
Right.
We are looking forward to having SMEs at estate level. If you have a gated community, you can have a material recovery facility there. Because technologies are there to do composting. Like composting, you don't need to do the way we used to do it in the village. You can use black soldier fly, which you can do it indoors.
Right.
And so all the waste that you get from your estate, you can process it there and get fertilizer, sell protein, an upcycling process, and you get your money. Right. So what we are looking forward to is there is an opportunity in establishment of the material recovery facilities. If you establish one, Then there is an assured market. You are assured that your products you will be compensated for collecting. Because now the EPR, if you collect diapers from homes, then somebody will compensate you for that through the EPR process.
Right.
So you can see it's not like before where diapers did not have a value.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
So we are talking about real business opportunities here.
Yes.
Now, looking broadly at the environment and linking this to climate change and climate mitigation, where can you describe to our audience a little bit how this whole process of waste management, the new laws, will be advancing our, our reduction of negative impacts on the environment and climate change?
The Sustainable Waste Management Act is contributing to reduction of our greenhouse gases in a big way. Number one, I said in the household we have two fractions, bin 1, bin 2. Let's talk of bin 1, the one for organic waste. If we make sure that our organic waste does not go to the landfill, does not go to the dump site, you see, we are avoiding production of methane gas. You know, when the waste rots, the organic waste rots, it generates methane gas.
Right.
And releases to the atmosphere.
Right.
So if we are able to convert that organic waste through maybe black soldier flies into organic fertilizer and then protein, then we have, we will make sure that it doesn't rot in the environment. So that greenhouse gas that we used to generate in the dump site will not be there. Now, come to the other bin. The other bin of synthetics. Let's take, for example, a plastic bottle, all glass. Before you get the plastic bottle, there is the mining cost.
Right.
Some machine has to do the mining for petroleum. The same for glass. Somebody has to mine the gravel, and then there should be heating to make the glass. But now, if we collect the glass, the process of mining, transportation, processing to get the glass is not there. So you are starting from glass to glass. That process is shorter.
Right.
So the emissions that could have resulted from mining, transportation, and processing, all that is not there. So there is a lot of reduction.
This is all about
emissions.
Enhancing a circular economy.
Yes, enhancing a circular economy.
Reuse
Yes.
of materials.
Yes.
Right.
Actually, circular economy, you know, it has several components.
Right.
We want materials to make sure that they are held within a loop. Okay? We don't want anything to be lost. So if you start with the organic waste, for example, then you take it through a process so that it becomes a resource to the next generation of plants.
Right.
To generate the same food.
Right.
Okay? So it is a complete loop without emissions into the environment.
Right.
If you start with plastic, you make sure that that plastic can still come back to plastic instead of going to the oil to mine petroleum.
Right.
Yes, that is what we are referring to as circular economy, and it has various options, including reduce, reuse, recycle in a loop.
In a loop.
Yes.
Right. So as the Director of Environmental Education and Awareness, do you feel, what else do you think could be done to raise awareness around the new laws so that households are able to comply, businesses are able to comply?
Our plan is that definitely the law targets many players to do public awareness. One of them being ourselves, the ministry will do awareness, the county government will do awareness, NEMA will do the awareness, the civil society will do the awareness, but also the producer responsibility organizations. They will also do awareness in order to tell you where do you take your waste. We will also have our products labeled protect that product after you finish with it. So there will be a lot of awareness also created by the producer. Now the waste service provider, the one who transports waste from the household to the material recovery facility, they're also supposed to create awareness. Of course, the awareness differ because the waste service provider will create awareness in terms of segregate waste at source, put organic here, put the synthetics on this other side.
Right. So awareness is a responsibility across the board, and
Yes,
indeed that
yes.
is why we run the Taka Thursday shows.
Yes.
To create awareness among our viewers
Exactly.
as well.
Exactly.
So lastly, to wind up, Dr. Macharia, we know you're very passionate about the environment, about all things waste management.
Yes.
So what are your Easter plans? Are you going to be composting? What will you be doing during Easter?
I'll be visiting a material recovery facility.
Where is this?
In Kiabu County.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a plan to visit with guys from Kiabu County to visit material recovery facilities to see what they are doing and to learn more about waste management.
All right.
Yeah.
And what would be your final thoughts to our viewers as we wind up?
Now, the final thoughts to the viewers is that the law, you see, it's a great idea to make sure that we don't contribute to pollution of our environment. And we have been given an opportunity. And to make sure that our environment is not polluted, your work is, you have been given a small assignments of just segregating waste at source. Wherever you are, make sure you segregate your organic waste, your wet waste, put it aside or in one bin, and the dry synthetics, put them on another bin, and make sure that the waste is given to a licensed waste service provider. If we do that, our country will be very clean.
So ladies and gentlemen, it's all about bin 1 and bin 2 to enable segregation at source. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So viewers, thank you once again for being part of us in Taka Thursday. We look forward to having you the next time again. Thank you so much, Dr. Macharia. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. And as we get to implementation of these laws, we know that you'll be front and center in terms of leading this great nation towards achieving our objectives around sustainable waste management. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is a circular economy? A circular economy is a system of getting the most value of resources we use to ensure that we keep them at their highest utility for as long as we can. That is according to Ellen MacArthur Foundation in 2022. The circular economy concept ensures that resources are used efficiently using the three guiding principles of reduce, reuse, and recycle. This is achieved by eliminating waste and pollution, circulate products and materials to their highest value, and to regenerate nature. By the way, this improves the economy, society, and environment by creating jobs, reducing litter, reducing imports, reducing resource extraction, and improving human health. The circular economy is critical to accomplishing sustainable development goals in economic, societal, and environmental dimensions.